2-0 so far.
Was a Galio Ezreal draft on blue side. Ezreal first pick into Galio in the second round on blue side. But the Ezreal already banned away by Kongdoo Monster, and they just don't want to deal with what SKT was winning with in game one. So double ban towards that strategy. Does mean a lot is going to be kind of left open in this shakeup of picks and bans with SKT back on the blue side. Was 3 bans towards Roach, and then Roach's Cho'Gath was involved in the winning play. So only going to eat a Gnar ban. Does mean that Orin is a very possible first round here for the side of Kongdoo Monster, and no visit from Blossom on his trademark Kha'Zix's going to be banned away. Will Faker take a visit to Zoe? Okay, second game for Faker in the LCK, third game in competitive if you include All-Star last year on the Zoe. Was a loss first time out, but we saw some great Zoe mechanics from Faker.
You were talking about the different targeted bans in game 2. It was all targeted against Roach, but not this time. They're taking away some power picks. And that means we are going to have Soul on the Varus this time. But the one big pick you mentioned might be banned out, the Camille. It gets through. We will see Raze on that again.
I see Zyra Khan on the blue side here for SKT. There's already been quite a lot of thinning of the champion pool, so the Lovers bot lane is confirmed. Ezreal and Kalista taken away. Varus does very well to most other matchups, but the full Zyra Khan for the first time 2018 season from Bang & Wolf. Bot laners for oh so long, and now getting to show their love in a different, unique way. Kongdoo Monster thinking about a mid laner to lane into the Zoe. Can go into the Banshee Veil very early on the Talia and just try to wave clear and kind of leave lane. Play the side lanes a lot better than Zoe can. So that's the big game plan here, kind of pretty akin to the Rise game plan in game 2 of wanting to push, get a side lane turret and roam out, as there seems to be a happy birthday call there.
That's for Suncaster, actually, the host on the side of the Korean desk. It is his birthday tomorrow, so happy birthday to him. Super cool guy.
No jungle yet selected by SKT, so Blossom will not have the Zac. So game 1 is definitely being thrown out by Kongdoo Monster, not interested in a return to any of those. Kongdoo Monster looking for secondary engage because they already have Varus and Camille, so the Alistar's a pretty smart ban. Wanting to thin out some of the bot lane options here for Kongdoo Monster. Kind of be happy to see them opt into something like a Tahm Kench. It might still be banned by SKT, but Tahm Kench so often gets caught up in the grand entrance and the quickness from the Rakan that doesn't get maximum value. Good pick against the Zoe normally, so interesting to see which second support ban we see from SKT if they go down that route, as double power jungle bans for Kongdoo Monster.
Taking away that Senj, the Braum definitely high up there in the tier list in terms of the support.
So we'll see Tahm Kench here again, and I think SKT is happy with this. Tahm Kench does disengage the trouble bubble super well, but as I'm mentioning, you can do so much work with the quickness grand entrance that you can basically CC the Tahm Kench after Devour for an insanely long time. So I don't think you mind there if you're SKT. The Braum and the Alistar would have been better fits for the comp. On SKT's side, maybe Tal jumping on the blind pick gangplank. Could be into the Camille, but heavily expected to be jungle Camille on the side of Kongdoo Monster. See how they want to round out their draft, and Blossom been up and down on the Jarvan, we should mention, but 2-1 now on the pick. We'll go for it anyway. See if he can provide a bit more assistance. Maybe he'll be doing the level 2 ganking in the mid lane this time out.
Definitely has an option on that blue side, quick red into mid lane, especially against Talia, who only has the flash, but definitely will be taking the cleanse along with it against the Zoe.
So what are we doing against Gangplank is the question. Roach has been playing Riven in solo queue, but the Vladimir definitely is more reliable choice. So sadly, we are still denied a second game of Riven in the LCK, the pentakill champion. It's going to be Vladimir instead. Still very similar identity. Seeing a lot more resolve Gangplank. Huni went into that against Licorice in the Cloud9 Echo Fox game. That was against Lucian. Can take the same approach. So Keen do that against Vladimir. And for an early Spectre's Cowl. So we'll see how respectful Tal is in the top side. But they have an interesting draft here for Kongdoo Monster. Very different. When it comes to frontline, kind of isn't any. Roach is going to go, obviously, into ability power, have some decent health. Raze will go probably pretty carry once again. Warrior into Trinity Force, otherwise why even bother with the Camille? But on the side of SKT, it's really only going to be the Jarvan as a true tank in this game, and then both supports doing an impersonation. So very interesting game, a lot of scaling in the top side for SKT. I think these junglers need to be kept tabs on at level 1 though, Valdez, because both of them are going to feel so tempted to go for that level 2 gank and try to dictate the mid lane matchup very early.
Gangplank secured for SKT. You were looking at some win rates. So far, he's been pretty good in LCK. SKT able to secure that one. I think it was something like 60% so far for the GP.
Yeah, we definitely have quite a few of those 60% champions, and the Gangplank Global especially, and all that bank planking does a lot, but we'll see if he can actually afford to go bank plank against a Vladimir and definitely be turned around against you. Competitive draft from both sides. Doesn't feel like it's really tilted too heavily one way or the other. But to me, it's all about Raze when it comes to Kongdoo Monster. Fool me once, says Faker. Can he fool him a second time and steal away the victory from SK Telecom T1?
Very curious to see if he can pull it off again and perhaps net himself another MVP. We're going into game number 3 right now. SKT versus Kongdoo Monster. Fans of both teams still here. Still a filled-out audience in the Nexon Arena. And the Kongdoo Monster fans even happier after they were able to secure a win over SKT, something that has not happened before. They got O2'd both times in the spring season. And finally, this time here in spring of 2018, they're able to pick up a win.
It's actually a really high-tension level 1 because, like I mentioned, both of these champions can do very creative ganks early as Raze looked for a level 1 gank, of all things.
Yeah.
Who needs a buff?
Yeah, he needs to pop his potion, actually. Just a small little thing. He's going to get the leash anyway.
And that's why I was saying high tension, because not even just ganking, but even just which side of the map is the Camille exposed on actually affects whether the level 2 gank is coming, what angle it's coming in from. There's a lot going on at the level 1. No late ward bottom side from Faker, though, on this blue start from Kongdoo Monster. Means we might just see a visit, but you've already shown your hand, so always interesting to see what Raze wants to do. Uses the blast plan. Not going to be going for gank just yet. Never really know here. The red ward is placed. That seems to be buff to buff here from Raze this game.
Yep, 1-2. Multiple pings on that one brush. Pixel brush that has both the wards there. Zombie ward gonna pop now, and they definitely do see it.
Just surprised to see the Edge has gone for Summon Airy this game, not going for Comet or any of the other choices that we see on the Taliyah. A lot of different options you can consider, but seems to be as much lane power as possible. You'd imagine it's going to be Comet and also the Scorch, just for the ability to get Zoe low and then hope that the hookshot can hit from Raze, and that does the rest of the work. The mid lane matchup tilting the way of Kongdoo Monster was really the big reason that Kongdoo got off to a big lead in game number 2. So recreating that is definitely what they want to do.
I've been playing a lot of Taliyah myself, and when I went through pro builds, pretty much all of them were taking Airy. I noticed that Ian was one of the guys that was actually taking Arcane Comet, but almost all of them were taking Scorch. So you were talking about lane dominance. Taliyah has tons of pushing potential early on, but also poke potential in the lane before Zoe gets strong, and looking to take advantage of that. Although you do see some nice respect out of Edge, as he has no vision down. He's just sitting back in the lane, scared of that Jarvan.
Also the sort of game where you'll know that Taliyah against super tanks, you know, Scion, for example, his secret might steal away the Rift Herald. The Rift Scuttler, I should say.
Gonna help out with the clear, too. Give the gold over to Raze. Look at that.
With no super tanks in this game, there is actually the chance that Taliyah's late game damage can actually be compared to her early to mid game. She's always monstrous when she doesn't have to push damage through tanks, but show the Jarvan. A lot of low health, low survivability members on the side of SKT. He's looking for an early roam, seen a lot of early turret dives top side, but doesn't have Camille in position to pull that off here. And Tal did go into the Kleptomancy, so we have seen Resolve Gangplank in the LCK and in the NALCS recently. But just going to be going secondary Resolve, taking a bit of magic resist, and playing respectful is the way that Tal has decided to go this game.
Yep. Also has the Relic Shield. will pick up a bunch of gold from just poking down Roach up in the top side with that. One of the only players in the game that's not in the bottom lane that does still pick that up. This bottom lane not going to be interesting just yet.
Yeah, level 6 needs to be hit, so there's actually options, apart from just devour the AD carry, for Wolf to try to play with. Always interesting to see which ability a Rakan maxes first. You see Q max, you see W max, everything except E max after the Ardent Sensor nerfs. Also foresee a very early visit from Wolf into the Zeke's Convergence. It's been a big favorite rush item onto Rakan. Talk about that more if we see it.
But for now, not seeing too much. We were talking about that tense early game, and so far, it seems like the respect out of both teams in just the prediction of that tense early game has led to a lack of action, at least so far.
God tier warding, though. Double control ward on both sides of mid lane for Kongdoo Monster means literally no worries whatsoever from Talia to push, and push and roam was her first thought. Pretty difficult for Kongdoo Monster pre-6 to actually make something happen in the bot lane, though. What?
Guys.
Some synergy issues between Faker and Blossom we noted in game 2, and I would say the communication still needs a bit of work.
I think it happened at the exact same time there.
Sure, but
so he was doing it over the wall, but
just to let you guys know, the comms are working, by the way.
You just be like, okay.
You know we get pauses when we have headset issues, so the headsets were definitely working.
They're going to clean up one of the control wards of the side of Kongdoo.
On the upside, when it comes to clearing the control, it takes a really long time for the enemy to do it. You can try to bait them. I'm trying to find a silver lining, guys. You don't want a double control ward to brush. Only time you ever see that is around Baron, just to basically guarantee that a control ward is there. You just double control ward it, so the enemy can't clear it fast enough. Raze on the front foot again. Pushing through mid lane, backing away. Control ward is cleared top side, so that's good news. Bot lane, trade's going pretty well for Kongdoo Monster.
Yeah, it was getting close, but there are too many minions there, and Bang ate way too much damage, so they're going to back off. They're not going to be entirely healthy, but you'll notice that neither of the bot lanes have gone home just yet. They're going to be looking for the backs, and whoever gets that back safely enough is going to be in the advantageous position, of course.
Vision does start to swing the way of SKT now that both control wards have been cleared out. On the side of Kongdoo Monster, a little bit more threat onto Talia. He's just picking up blue buff as we speak. Tal has decided he is the ultimate investment banker. He also has the cull now. SKT happy to play a long game, and you can't really... It's kind of an interesting duality, because when you're against a Vladimir, you can go super respectful, resolve into a second item Spectre's card. That's what we saw from Keen for Freak of Freaks, going very respectful against Vlad, because Vlad does have a lot of turret dive options against a Gangplank. Or you can do the opposite. It's a really weird mind game, but you go super disrespectful and then just basically bait the enemy top laner to outplay themselves. Usually when you see something like a Cull Gangplank going Kleptomancy against a Vlad, as the Vlad player, you're like, you're doing this against me? You know, you want to turret dive them, you call your jungler. But the enemy knows that. The enemy team has that same information. There's a lot of interesting to and fro when you go this particular route. So we'll see if there is any jungle attention. For now, it's isolated. Roach is opening up a CS lead, but we all know Gangplank. It's not going to be leading to a gold lead anytime soon.
He's having a ball up there. Neither of the junglers have had an opportunity to do much in this game. Everybody's sitting at 0 everything. As Raze, he hits level 6, though, so we'll see if he wants to make a play up towards the top lane. There's currently no ward.
It's a stopwatch, though, so stopwatch, flash, and ultimate here to try to get himself out of dodge.
As well as Blossom, who's nearby.
Talia is also on the front foot. They're looking for the roam and the contest on blue here.
Those two control wards cleaned up as they're coming into the blue, and the smite, it goes over to Raze, and there it is. They're getting on top of Blossom with the Hextech ultimatum. First blood comes in. Teleport not needed. Faker trying to make things interesting here, as well as Tal making his way down, but Roach got here first.
Here's Wolf.
Okay, Wolf coming on in. Tal getting low. Look at him in the face of danger. The flash, he misses both. So close. He may have been able to one-shot both of them, as they were both incredibly low, but missing by inches. Faker not able to pick up a kill. And
that was his own flash as well. Wasn't one that he picked up. So summoner down from Faker, not able to get an answering kill. Goes back to mid lane, won't even be able to push. Needs Wolf to come and help him push the lane. He's completely out of mana. SKT trying to defend, even though they had investment banker Gangplank against Vladimir, and the first rotation was always going to come in from the Talia. It's actually turned on them. Blossom has been outsmited a couple of times by Raze. Invader's advantage, I guess. Comes in, smites, ultimatum. It's already level 6. Nothing Blossom can do. They could have just ended it here, but 2 low health members from the side of Kongdoo Monster. Roach first to react, able to escort out his duo. They go topside after seeing the teleport. Let's watch Faker here. Looks for the flash. Oh. Good decision from Kongdoo Monster. Both of them cheating the right way. They don't split the difference. That means both of them live.
Everybody loves to talk about how OP Zoe is, especially as she gets fed, but you got to be on point with your skill shots. He missed one earlier at the blue buff location. The second one was a lot harder to pull off, I'll let you know, but kind of unfortunate that he could not secure the kills in that situation.
So if you guys are wondering where this game goes, because we said already, low tankiness on both sides, a lot of common things. Kongdoo Monster, my read on the draft here is that basically they win early items in every lane. So one item, I think they have a massive lead over SKT. Gangplank going to be inching towards Trinity Force. But when you're talking about one item, Talia, Rageblade Varus, Vladimir also being able to pile on early power. I feel like the early power purchase for Kongdoo Monsters have that extra oomph early. But SKT take it at 3 to 4 items unless Roach is just completely monstrous, either in a side lane or getting into the back line. So SKT have a lot of scaling options. Can't do so much scaling when there's already aggression from Kongdoo.
They're going to lock down the Rakan early, who tries to get out of there. No wall just yet out of Edge. He doesn't have it available, actually. And the TP coming on in from Faker means that they're looking to get away from this one, not committing to the engage. No Weaver's wall, as they do not pick up any kills.
Yeah, execution onto quickness and also the Feather Storm from Bang and Summoners both up on the AD carry. It's very difficult to complete that dive. They thought with Tahm Kench they could take extra turret shots. Oh. Teleport ended up answering it. Here's the Weaver's Wall.
Okay, they have both their globals up now. Where are you gonna go from here, Bang? Does he even have the Feather Storm? No, he does not. Was burned earlier on. The Gangplank ultimate does not help out, and that's going to be another kill going to Kongdoo.
Whatever the result of this series, A for effort for Kongdoo Monster. They're definitely committing to the plays, respecting cooldowns when SKT has them, but when they don't have them, showing the killer's edge to actually return and pick up the kill. Great Weaver's Wall into the Abyssal Voyage, gets Bang second time around. So 2 kills on the board to Kongdoo Monster. Kongdoo are once again ahead of the play, and SKT, with no Galio, are behind it.
Yeah. It's really just a smart play, using the strengths of their comp. They're trying to come up here onto Roach now, but you'll notice that they're scared too. And Blossom is down 3 levels on the Vladimir, who is very farmed at this point.
Vlad with Summoners up and a stopwatch. Good luck with that one. So the call is to disengage. Edge has been the most impressive player in this game for me. Both of his Weaver's Walls have been clinical and then some, so great to see him on a pick that he liked in the past. 2 games this season, 2 losses, but with Raze on the front foot, Raze not being just a non-factor as he was in series after series recently, him being at least relevant in the early game and Edge rotating smartly has meant great things for the side of Kongdoo. We're going to see the replay. Remember that they know everything is down bot side. SKT can see Tahm Kench. Both of them pull away. Wolf's first thought is to walk up and contest vision. Edge is the one with the killer instinct. They just come in, they gap close, nothing Bang can do. They held their cooldowns from before, didn't get greedy on the turret dive, and this time they can be clinical on the second visit bot lane.
It's something that you have to predict, right? You can't really outplay that many globals and ultimates being used onto an AD carry.
Well, you outplay by not being there, right? There's
exactly. You need to predict it. You need to say, okay, the Tahm Kench backs away. He must be going for something sneaky. And unfortunately, they could not predict it. Nice bit of damage coming out here, but he does get away. It is Camille.
The selfless thing was the Edge was still bot side, right? Usually the mid laner, you're a Talia player, your first thought is, I gotta get mid lane and catch the wave, I gotta go pick up CS. But he overstayed bot lane, trusting that the play the second time around would work. Not usually the way of Faker, who usually is so much more dominant on the farm, but Edge trying to play the team game, gets his team a big lead, and he also has a CS lead of his own in mid lane, so things going very well for the Summoner Airy early game focused Talia.
Love those kinds of plays where you can talk about it for lengths on end. This time it is predicted, as there is some vision. The question is, do they get out, though? Wolf trying
Raze
to go
is
in.
all alone this time.
Yeah, he's got Secret and Soul, and in the end, it just ends up being a zone. Edge this time coming in, but nice response as a team from SKT. Cannon Barrage means no turret, at least not enough damage to take it out.
Speaking of not a lot of damage, look at this. Raze actually on Cinderhulk on Camille. First Cinderhulk Camille we've seen in the LCK. Never picked in solo queue either. So after all his deaths in the previous game, he wants to guarantee his ultimatums earlier. It took till they finished Guardian Angel for him not to just be popped through the Sterix Gauge, Trinity Force, damage build he went last game. This time around, very early game focus builds. Means it would be just an ultimatum as the game goes on. But it does mean that ultimatum is likely to last the full duration, so level 11, getting the longer duration on the ultimatum seems to be the window that a build like that is playing around.
It's a cool idea. I mean, they have some extra damage on their composition, so take some away for other benefits. Tal sitting up here. It looks like he's having a hard time, but he's already got a Trinity Force, and his turn hasn't gone down just yet, so I'm sure he's pretty happy so far.
And this is just in a 1v1. There's been no impact of the top lane, the jungler top lane whatsoever, only on the invade around blue buff. But the top laners actually have any proximity to the rest of their team. Yep, standard gangplank, not much to talk about there. Most of the action's been bot side. Zion Rakan. We knew it would be big come patch 8.2, where no longer the fact that Rakan can't happily go into Relic Shield could be exploited. The fact that he could go happily elsewhere with the double Relic Shield bot lanes moving away. We knew it would come back, but so far, it really hasn't had the same payoff. We saw KSV lose with it first game on 8.2. Seeing a struggle here in the early laning phase, but largely that's just been laning phase mistakes from SKT. Bang being too confident to walk up against globals rather than anything about the Zion Rakan. See how things develop, though. Top lane will eventually go down. So isolated 16 minutes and solo turret gold means this Vlad is going to be hitting second item super fast. I wonder if it'll be Liandry's or the teamfight choice in Azonia's. Both of them could be considered. With stopwatch up, you could understand going the higher damage route.
Yeah, I'd like to see that out of him. Okay, we have another engage here, but again, it's Tom Ken's looking to turn this around. You'll notice the Weaver's Wall coming on in, as well as the Camille. They're looking for a pick. They get Wolf on the side, but he actually brings down the wall to secure the kill here. That's going to be enough. Raze gets caught up, but again, will they go for the counter here? Tal made his way down with the TP, but they're not confident enough to go for it, and another kill secured here by Kongdoo.
Yeah, the buddy system is really working out for Kongdoo Monster. They're always investing 5. Edge finds Blossom. He's 3 levels up, but doesn't want to take too much free damage.
Oh, they're looking for it. Look at this. Tom Kent's coming on in here with Roach, but it's not enough, as Tal and Faker are there to support.
Both AD carries isolated, considering a dive onto Soul and contest the blue buff. They're looking for the maximum here, SKT.
I love this series. It's been action-packed the entire time.
It's been very different from expectation. Kongdoo Monster have not rolled over. Raze has been able to find a footing in an early game for the first time in it feels like 5 series. And it's meant so much for the team around him. But Vladimir, Talia, they're both in the base. So this will be first strike of the game to SKT.
Nice one, too. They pick up that mountain. Gonna make things a bit easier. The objectives, of course. Meanwhile, Faker was pushing mid. Nice little dodge there. Ooh.
No Banshee Veil yet. Gonna be built second here by Edge. Yeah. Obviously the build path has always been criticized because you don't get a Negatron Cloak, you only get a No Magic Mantle as you work your way slowly towards, and it feels bad just in the inventory. But that's definitely needed at this point in the game. Edge is known as roll. Push up, try to roam. The roams have worked. But if it's an isolated mid lane, it's no fun for the Talia.
Raze caught by the quickness, not able to hookshot away just yet. There's the flash in the face of 3 people. It's definitely not enough to get him to safety.
Roach will cancel his teleport. Would have had backline access, but no one there to actually help him out. Working towards the Leandries like we predicted. But Tal, if we ever do turn over to the gold, I'm sure it's going to be very competitive, even though he's down 50 CS. Actually has turned his Relic Shield into a Targon's Brace, so we'll have a little bit of extra warding here on the top side of the map. Usually we just see it stayed at Relic Shield and then sold, but it's a bit of a different approach here, a bit more extra health. He's going to be in a duo lane a bit more often because they have been pushing as 4 or 5, and then the Relic Shield healing will be a relevant thing to talk about as well. Mid lane.
Looking for a play here, just a bit of damage, doesn't get caught by the knockup, but we got Tahm Kench coming in too. That's gonna be 3 people. The Chain of Corruption gets the Jarvan. Blossom forced to flash out of there. Stopwatch by Edge as he tries to dodge the damage from Faker. It's enough. Now Soul in an awkward spot, but there it is, the huge knockup onto 3 of them as Tahm Kench gets everybody in the action. But here comes Roach from the top lane, looking to turn it around, but it's not enough as Seeker gets low too. Faker doing extra damage. That'll be 2 more kills for SKT.
Yeah, SKT catch Kongdoo Monster in transition. A Hemoplague and then backing away for a free farmed Vladimir is exactly what you want as SKT. They're going to push through the mid lane. Looking for 2 turrets here, SKT.
Oh, there it is. Soul getting super low. He's forced to flash out of that one just to make sure he lives.
That was the one-shot attempt. He used his own flash again. Doesn't get the kill, but chunking out Varus gets in the second turret they craved. And SKT have their first meaningful gold lead of the game.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about the first pick Zoe here for Faker. So far, it's been looking pretty good. I like the idea out of SKT. He's only been allowed to have that Zoe for the 2nd time tonight, and he's showing it off. All that solo queue practice paying off in dividends.
But it's been fun. I mean, you've alluded to it multiple times, how this game has ebbed and flowed. SKT understands that Kongdoo Monster wants to push mid lane and then roam with the Taliyah Global. Zoe doesn't play side lanes well, so why not bring the fight to Zoe? Playing through the Zoe lane is the right way to approach Zoe against a low tankiness comp. And Kongdoo Monster opt into it by teleporting to the mid lane with the Abyssal Voyage. And then it's fish in a barrel for Zoe and Tal. Even free hitting by Bang as he gets here towards the end. And this is SKT's win condition in the mid game. Attack the mid lane, play through the Zoe lane, rather than the side of Kongdoo Monster, who are trying to play anywhere except where Zoe is.
Yeah. If you're going to criticize Blossom, it's not going to be about his mechanics. He's been on point tonight. He's looking pretty good, as we have seen. Right on point with the triple knockup as Tahm Kench makes it a triple knockup. Look at the gold, extremely competitive this time around in Game 3.
And they can't allow the game Kongdoo Monster to snowball away from them. They'd never want to have Roach just trading farm with Tal in a side lane. This game plan will always out-gold, and certainly scaling-wise, very, very similar into the late game. Tal himself has reinforced the 1v1. He's gone for the Executioner's Calling here to allow him some side lane pressure against the Vladimir. We saw this same item picked up for Gnar by Smeb in the last series that KT Rolster played right before the end against Kongdoo Monster, last series we had before the break. So he's only going to be really proccing it realistically on his Q most of the time. Doesn't get into auto range that often against Vladimir, but a lot of small parts means that right now the power level of Tal's very low for a Gangplank. He has a lot of small items and a Trinity Force, but if he's able to side lane for a long time and then just have an ultimate and they can win 4v4s, that's how SKT are playing. So going towards the Zoe and having Vladimir lose the minimum is how SKT is approaching the mid game.
Well, they're pushing up in the top side now, but Kongdoo wants to make things interesting. Let's see how the Abyssal Voyage comes in, if it does at all. Thinking about an engage, but not going for it just yet. TP coming in from Vlad.
It's pretty deep, though.
Yeah. And the sleep here onto Secret. He's a Tahm Kench, but still, at the end of it all, they could not really find an opportunity to engage. Rochi eats it, but he's got a Tahm Kench.
Teleport canceled by Tal. He's going to ult now.
Oh, no knock up there on a Secret, but it is going to be enough. Even Ray's getting knocked up in there as he jumps in. Cataclysm comes in, no hook shot for Raze, but they're getting onto Bang here, who does have his Feather Storm, getting themselves into so much trouble right now as Kongdoo. Vladimir trying to do his best, getting a lot of people low, but he just doesn't have the damage. Blossom almost died, but he baits him in the triple kill from Faker. Looking for the Quadra here as Soul is low as well. Gonna be a rough one, not able to secure it. And all the while, Tal in the bot lane, just farming up.
It was a 4v5 and SKT win the team fight, all ends up playing through Faker. Not a new plan, but certainly a good one in this particular game. They're on to Baron, but while Kongdoo Monster may have vision, can they do anything with it? With Raze dead, the answer is almost certainly no.
Absolutely here, as they'll just try to answer the GP, who may have gone a little bit far. Edge doesn't even have the mana to get in there and do anything, and Gangplank just too fast. So the Baron goes down. The tower is saved, at least, in the bottom lane.
Losing so much 4v5 has to be disheartening for Kongdoo Monster. Feels like the moment where they've been pushed too far. Looking at Razor's build, we mentioned he only has the Locket and the Cinderhawk. He wants to fight now because he knows they'll be outscaled in terms of damage. Notice that Tal was teleporting. He cancels it and realizes that SKT is going to go aggressive. And from here, we mentioned the fish in the barrel a couple of times. The ult goes down. Blossom can just dive into the backline. Soul and Roach are so heavily split from the rest of their team. There's no threat onto Faker. And while Roach gets into the backline for a while, they can't complete any kill. SKT's fighting front to back and also with plenty of long-range artillery, and Kongdoo Monster can only run away. Here it is. Whoa. You know, he probably would have preferred Soul, but he'll take the Tom catch, that's for sure.
If the Trouble Bubble hit, that was a Quadra easy, but just a bit wide. Decided 3 kills is enough for that fight. As well, the game has been torn open now by SKT. Winning the fight, getting 3 kills, 4v5. They pick up the Baron and a couple of extra turrets, and they're looking for more.
Yeah, Gold Lade's balloon is 7,500 gold lead. After that passage of play, watching SKT pushing up. They're also pushing up in the top lane. That's probably going to be the easiest turret as Gangplank is finally adding on AD. Most damage dealt in the game is the Gangplank, just Gangplank things. Edge has Banshee Veil, but one Paddle Star accounts for just about 40% of the Talia's health total.
Yeah. Or even a bit more, as she picks up some more items later on.
Ghost and Flash on cooldown from Roach. No backline threat for the Vladimir right now.
Uh-oh. Someone's going to have to block that. It will be Raze. Secret, meanwhile, going for the Devourer. They're pushing 2 lanes at a time as Kongdoo look lost as to how to defend this. Thinking about that engage, but they can't quite get the knock up with Blossom. I said 2 lanes, but they're actually pushing 3.
Yep.
As it is in the top side as well. May just be a swift end to this one if SKT decide to push in for the risky end. May not even be risky as they're looking for Soul here. Weaver's Wall. Blossom still had his stopwatch, and there it is. Enough coming in. The flank from Roach wants to get onto Faker, and he may do so, but will it matter in the end? He pushes him out of the fight. The 3rd inhibitor will go down here. The second one, rather. The 3rd one getting low up on the top side. They're just looking for the end at this point.
Yeah, just able to ghost away. Vladimir dies in the back end to a Paddle Star. I'm sure that was big damage. It's going to be the 2nd next turret, and SKT closing it up.
Blossom looking for some extra damage. Wolf getting flashy in the end, but SKT looking better towards the end of this one. Going for the end, picking on that Nexus. There it is. Game number 3 will go for the 2-1 victory for SK Telecom T1.
Yeah, the SKT faithful roar, but they know this was a very difficult game. Better part of 2.5